What's up guys, welcome to your JavaScript series brought to you by Code to Code CTC. In case you just skipped the first episode and bumped into this one, I still remain Tony Cletus, your instructor. Alright, in this episode 13, we are going to be looking at JavaScript hoisting. Now in our last tutorial, we discussed a little about JavaScript hoisting and we said it's like lifting up something or elevating something. Man, this JavaScript, what are we lifting in JavaScript? Okay, we are lifting variables, you understand? Before I explain that, let me quickly explain one important stuff in JavaScript about variables before we continue. So let me declare a variable called x and y is equal to 10. Now these are two variables. Take a look at these two variables very well. We have variable x and variable y. But what is the difference between these two variables? Now we have declared variable x, but variable x doesn't have a value. That means variable x is not defined. Now for variable y, we've declared variable y also and we've attached a value to it which is 10. That means variable y is both declared and defined because there's a value attached to it, you understand? Whereas variable x is just declared but not defined because there's no value attached to it. So this is just the one key note between variables. That is declaring a variable and defining a variable. They are two different things. This variable is declared but it's not defined because there's no value attached to it, and this variable is declared and defined because there's a value attached to it. Alright, so now that you've understood this, we can now go to the main thing that brought us here. But before I do that, let me quickly prove to you guys that this variable is just declared but not defined. So if I try to console.log this, console.log x, and we open this now web browser, and in the episode 2 I explained how to open the console log. All you need to do is to right click and go on the web page and click on the inspect and you click on console. Alright, so once we refresh this, we see variable x is undefined. That's why you see undefined there. That means variable x is undefined. Alright, now let me explain something about the web console. Now this is another tutorial entirely, but you guys need this because we're going to be using this a lot. Alright, as a developer, I need to understand the web console. Now this is a web console. This is the background of web console, you understand? And the web console is a built-in web development tool that allows web developers like us that are programmers to test and debug our codes, you understand? They are different from the IDEs, that is integrated development environment, or the test editors. Unlike all those ones, the web console does not directly assist us in creating web pages, but rather they help us in testing and debugging our codes. And it's a tool used to test the user interface of a website or web application, you understand? You can find them on Chrome, Safari, Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer. I don't know about Opera Mini because I don't use that. Alright, and they support HTML, DOM, which is document object model, CSS, which is cascading style sheet, and JavaScript. And as a JavaScript programmer, you need to get conversant with the console very well. So alright, let's go back to our code where we are treating hoisting. Now supposing I gave this a value, I set it to be equal to 10, and we save this and refresh. You see now the console is now giving us 10. That means it has now been declared and defined. So I've proved my point. So we can now go into hoisting. Alright, now take a look at this code that I've just written. We defined a function and we named it profile, and inside the function scope we have a variable called user, and it's holding the value Sharon Jones. That's holding strings Sharon Jones. And we now document.write this user. We want to output this on the screen, and we call the function. So once we save this now and clear this off because we're not using the console anymore, and I refresh, you see Sharon Jones. This is just the basic way of using variables. Now supposing we have document.write user first, and we come down here to now declare the variable and assign a value to it. What do you think will happen? If you save this and you come back to your web browser and you refresh, you see it is undefined. Why? This is because you already used the variable user before declaring the variable. You understand? You've already used the variable user before declaring the variable. Now it will not give you errors because this variable has been hoisted. That means you've used it, so it will automatically declare the variable, but it will not assign a value to it. And that's what we mean by hosting. Let me try to explain it another way again. Whenever you define a variable within a body of function, which is this, the value is available from here downwards to the end of the function. But before this variable, it gives you user undefined. You understand? But you can use this value downward. So this indirectly has just taken this off like this, and this is what it's trying to tell you. It's not quite different from this. And if you save this and refresh it on your web browser, you see you have the same thing, user undefined. So this is what that's actually done to the code. So we come back and we have this. Alright, so this is very important when you are like dealing with interviews. You understand? It is very important you understand this JavaScript hoisting. For example, in an interview, you can just have something like this, paste this and make it a global variable. I can now change it to Tony Cletus, for example. So user is no longer Sharon but Tony Cletus. Now, if you have something like this with the same user being declared here as Sharon, what do you think will be the product of this code? Most of you might be thinking, since this is a global variable, you have Tony Cletus as the output, but it's not going to be Tony Cletus. So once you save this and you refresh, you have still user undefined. The user variable is still undefined. This is because when you declared this as a global variable, this will just run to this place. But when the web browser sees this, it hosts this variable user upward. And since the variable user has already been used, it will see it as a declared variable but not a defined variable. This is just a simple explanation I can possibly give you on JavaScript hoisting. It's just like lifting a variable up when it has been used before being declared. Alright, so I'll see you in the next episode where we'll be dealing with the let and the const statement. And these two statements are modified statements in the 2015 JavaScript update. So if you've really learned something from this video, please click on the like button below. If you don't understand anything from this tutorial, you can leave a comment below. I'll attend to them as soon as possible, and please subscribe. Thank you.